What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm TheJoshElkin and today I'm making a cheesesteak macaroni casserole. Let's get on with the recipe. The first part of this video, I'm boiling the noodles. So the rule of thumb with that is to make sure you season the water with a substantial amount of salt. Cook the noodles for exactly 7 minutes. This is gonna cook them al dente to give them a little bit of bite and also not fully cook them because I'm gonna be baking this in a dish later on. Now, as you can see, I added some chopped up steak to a food processor and pulsed it just to get it down to a smaller consistency. I'm not looking for a ground beef here, just sort of like a chopped steak. Add the steak to a Ziploc bag, drain the noodles and set them aside. Now, to season this steak, I'm adding a little bit of Worcestershire, some olive oil, garlic powder, and onion powder to the Ziploc bag full of steak. The Worcestershire has some salt in it, but you still want to season it with a little bit more salt and pepper. In my experience, marinating meat in Ziploc bags is definitely the move, but if you don't have that, you can easily use some Tupperware or even a bowl. In this recipe, I'm using 2 versions of onions, some diced up caramelized onions, and later, some fried sliced onions. Add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil to a medium hot frying pan and then add the onions. You're gonna wanna cook them for roughly 5 minutes until they get soft and slightly golden brown. For the crispy fried sliced onions, I'm gonna slice half an onion and add it to a bowl with some buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you can make it on your own by adding about a tablespoon of lemon juice to a cup of milk. When the sauteed caramelized onions are done, transfer them to a bowl and set them aside. At this point, the steak should be fully marinated, and don't be alarmed that the steak has turned brown. It's the Worcestershire and all the seasonings that's been getting inside that meat, making it super flavorful. Cook the steak on a medium-high frying pan for about 5 minutes and then transfer it to a bowl because we're going to be adding it to the mac and cheese in a bit. One of the more popular cheeses to use in a cheesesteak is provolone, so I'm using these provolone cheese string sticks and grating them. Now I'm going to be using this for the cheese sauce, but also to put on top of the casserole. For the cheese sauce, I'm adding some milk to a pan with some cream cheese and mixing it up until the cream cheese and milk combine. This is a homemade Cheese Whiz sauce, and it's got a lot of strange ingredients that you may not think go into a Cheese Whiz. But let's be real, there's a lot of chemicals that go in that jarred stuff. This is more natural. My favorite part of this recipe is adding the turmeric. That's going to give it that really awesome yellow color. The second cheese that I'm adding to this sauce is a Colby Jack. Then while stirring, I'm going to add some more of that shredded provolone. You know the cheese sauce is done when you don't see any more grated cheese and it's all an even consistency. And now it's time to add the macaroni noodles to the cheese sauce. Make sure that the heat is off on the pan because you don't want to burn the noodles and you definitely don't want to burn the cheese sauce. When the cheese sauce and the macaroni noodles have combined, it's time to add half the sauteed onions. Mix in the noodles with the onions and then add half the amount of steak. I'm adding all these ingredients in with the macaroni and cheese so that when we take a bite, you definitely get onions and you definitely get beef. But the remaining ingredients we're gonna add on top of this. And this is a casserole, so I'm pressing down all the ingredients in this pan so that when we slice it, it comes out almost like a piece of pie. On top of the layer of macaroni, I'm adding half the remaining provolone cheese and then sprinkling on half the remaining sauteed onions. On top of the onions and cheese, the remaining steak. And oh yeah, I told you this is a super terrific cheesy casserole, right? On top of the steak, the rest of the shredded provolone. Before adding this casserole to the oven, I'm gonna add another layer of texture by sprinkling on some panko breadcrumbs. Then I'm gonna bake it in a 450-degree oven for roughly 10 minutes or until the top is golden brown and bubbling. While the casserole bakes, we're gonna make the second layer of onions by heating up some cooking oil and draining the sliced onions out of the buttermilk. Then I'm adding those onions to a bowl of seasoned flour. The flour is seasoned with salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. The trick to coating the onions in the seasoned flour is pressing the mixture into the onions, then dusting them off before frying them. When they're done in the oil, you want to put them on a plate with some paper towel so that it can soak up some of the excess oil. And when the casserole is done, top it with these crispy onions. Whoa, a super yellow Cheese Whiz macaroni mixed with sauteed onions, some marinated steak, topped with more cheese, breadcrumbs, and some crispy fried onions. There is a magical cheese pull happening over here, and that's because I didn't use 1, I didn't use 2, I didn't even use 3, but I used 4 different cheeses in this macaroni dish. Guys, I know you want to try this, and you can. All you gotta do is click the link in the description down below and hit up recipechampions.com, where not only this recipe is published, but all my recipes are published. Remember to hit the like button, turn on notification, and hit the sub button, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.